Okay, let's dive right into one of history's darkest chapters.
Picture this. It's 1789. The air in France is just electric with revolutionary hope.
A whole new world was promised, built on three beautiful words.
So how did that incredible dream curdle into a complete nightmare?
Well, just a few years later, that hope was gone, replaced by something much darker.
The Reign of Terror wasn't an army. It was an idea that went viral.
We're talking about social paranoia, a virus that infected the very soul of Paris. And it started with some very real fears: foreign invasion and traitors from within.
And who was pulling the strings? The Committee of Public Safety.
Their leader, Robespierre, pushed a new and absolutely terrifying kind of logic.
His idea was simple. To create a virtuous republic, you must first use absolute terror.
I mean, just look at this contradiction. To get virtue, you use fear. For liberty, the blade.
You can just imagine the mental war this started inside every single person.
The revolution's beautiful words were now being twisted to justify murder.
The threat wasn't some distant king anymore. Suddenly, the enemy was everywhere.
It could be the baker, an aristocrat, or even a revolutionary who just wasn't extreme enough. To survive this new landscape, you had to adapt, and you had to do it fast.
The new rules were simple: blend in, say the right things, and trust absolutely no one.
Speaking your mind wasn't brave anymore. It was literally a death sentence.
When we think of the terror, we picture the guillotine. But was it just random violence?
Not really. The real power here was a highly organized system of psychological control.
And the goal was simple: isolate everyone and completely shatter any sense of social trust. So how'd they pull it off? Let's look at their first and most powerful weapon.
This is where it gets really scary. The law of suspects basically made your thoughts a crime.
Suddenly, you could be a traitor just for not seeming enthusiastic enough. Insane, right?
The whole idea of having a private inner life, well, that was pretty much gone.
Next up, the system turned the entire community into a weapon through so-called watch committees.
See, committees on every street corner decided if you were a good citizen. No certificate, no life.
And this wasn't some shadowy secret police. It was your landlord, your tailor, your neighbors.
It totally shattered communities, replacing any trust with this constant creeping suspicion.
And for the third weapon, they even targeted the very words people used every day.
Using the old greeting monsieur instead of the new citizen could be seen as an act of treason.
So every single conversation, even with your family, became this exhausting, high-stakes performance.
It's terrifying to think about. Just one wrong word, and that could be it. To the guillotine.
So you see how all these pieces fit together? It's a true architecture of fear.
You had laws policing thoughts, committees policing communities, and vocabulary policing speech. No escape.
It created a society of terrified, isolated people. Now that was the true reign of terror.
You see, these executions weren't hidden away. They were daily public shows, right in the city.
And this wasn't some small fringe group. We're talking about everyday Parisian society. So it all comes down to one big question. Why? Why did so many people watch?
Well, the first reason is actually pretty chilling. It was a public performance of survival.
In that kind of climate, you had a very public and a very dangerous choice to make.
Just being seen there was a signal that you were on the right side.
But not showing up, that could get you accused of being a sympathizer.
So loyalty was a big part of it. But something much more primal was going on too.
The entire city was just swimming in fear, and people needed an outlet for it.
The guillotine became this focal point, a place to aim all that rage and anxiety.
Cheering it on gave people a brief feeling of control in all the chaos.
It turned into this dark, addictive entertainment, the ultimate reality show of its day.
I mean, think about the famous Tricot Tuesdays, knitting daily right there at the scaffold.
But the last reason is maybe the most profound of all: confronting their own mortality.
This was a time where death could literally come for anyone at any moment.
So watching it happen to someone else became this weird form of therapy.
It was a desperate way to study how to die, just in case your turn was next.
So what does all this do to people's minds, day in and day out?
Well, you can see the path. The daily spectacle leads to desensitization, then normalization.
After a while, that extreme state of terror just wasn't extreme anymore. It was normal.
The reign of terror didn't end in a battle. It ended with a psychological snap.
See, here's the thing. Any system built on pure fear
it's got a fatal flaw baked right in.
Think of the terror like a fever. It either has to break or it completely consumes its host.
This moment is called the Thermidorian reaction. It wasn't a coup. The whole paranoia machine just imploded. And that's because the fear finally reached everyone. The logic was simple. If anyone's a traitor, nobody's safe.
So what was the final straw? Well, ironically, it came from the man in charge, Maximilien Robespierre.
He stood up and claimed he had a new list of traitors to be executed. Classic move for him.
But this time, he made one fatal miscalculation. He refused to name a single person, and suddenly, everyone in the room saw their own name on it.
The fear had hit its breaking point. Fear of Robespierre was no longer the biggest fear in the room.
And just like that, the psychological switch flipped. Suddenly, the fear for yourself became stronger than the fear of him.
And that's when the paranoia machine started to devour itself. The system's main weapon, fear, was turned on its master. So, in a crazy reversal, they voted to arrest him. He was sent to the same guillotine he'd used on so many others.
People cheered his death, not for liberty, but just for an end to the constant, crushing fear. Total exhaustion.
And with that, the fever had broken. The terror wasn't really defeated, it just burned itself out. But what kind of scars did this fever leave? Well, the psychological damage was deep and would last for generations.
It basically inoculated the whole nation against its own idealism. I mean, how could you believe in utopia after that?
You can see the long-term scars, deep cynicism, distrust. The survivors weren't hopeful revolutionaries anymore, just exhausted.
Even the words liberty, equality, fraternity were now haunted by the shadow of the guillotine, a truly dark legacy.
It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most dangerous monsters are the ones we create ourselves.
So how can chasing a perfect world create monsters? It's a question the revolution forces us to ask, even today.